Recommendations from the Maori Committee. Now, Councillor Graham, you attended that meeting, did you?
Yes, I did, Mr. Chair. This is an accurate record, but I would just, with the liberty of the council, just like to mention one other item that we had on the Maori Committee, and that was the issue of water, particularly the stream at Bridge Park. Everyone's aware that there was a hui held out there, and I think we reported on that subsequently, which the chair and Dave and myself went. I don't know anyone else. Oh, and Tom. Subsequent to that, I've had a couple of sessions with Mr. Adey and other council staff, how we can resolve this. And I've had 2 meetings with Mike Glazebrook, who, and one just Mike and I, and the other one I brought him into the council. And I think one landowner I haven't met because he's involved in a tragedy. His son was involved in a tragedy in Twyford, which you may or may not know about. So I've left him alone until early January. But our thoughts are we get all the landowners together and get them involved and start to sort of work to fix this problem. And I think mechanically it looks like it can be fixed. It's just a matter of getting goodwill from all the parties, and I think we're a long way down the track of doing that. Certainly Mike Glazebrook's really keen to get a resolve in this issue. So that's just a quick update on this part.
So have you got any other comment on the recommendations there, Councillor? On page 35. Are you happy to move that we accept that report or accept those recommendations? Are you happy to second that, Councillor Pipe? Any further discussion? I'll put that motion, then all those in favour please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Right, item 12 on page 37. Some recommendations there, but I'll ask Councillor Hewitt, as chair of that meeting, to perhaps give us some comment on those recommendations.
Just before I make comment, I'm interested in some clarification from you, Mr. Chairman. This is formalising the work of the Corporate and Strategic Committee, isn't it? It's not a litigation of the whole proceedings?
No, it's not, although there is room for double debate. But just to be clear, I mean, if there was any... well, I'll give you one example. Item 3 on the recommendations, that recommendation was at this time with further investigation, I think, from memory. So, you know, the improvement of the Regional Council Wairoa Office, we didn't say, you know, wipe it out, but we actually wanted to explore other opportunities up there. So, I mean, that may need some tweaking when we get to the recommendations, i.e. at this time or some such thing, I don't know. Okay. But we did, from memory, we did talk about, you know, doing further work up there. Well, Councillor Graham might
well,
recall
that
that
can come
better.
under matters arising then, obviously.
Well, that will be no. These are recommendations to council.
The Wairoa discussions further.
Yeah, well, whoever moves them when we get to that place may consider that we put the words "at this time" at the end of it, and it leaves it open for further investigation. As an example, the other example here, there was an election. Have I got that right? Yeah, Hawke's Bay Tourism. Now, technically at this stage, that would either have to fail to run another election, or someone would move an amendment.
All right, well, in terms of the Corporate and Strategic Committee meeting on Wednesday the 18th of December, and I think that these recommendations here are a pretty concise summary of our discussions. For the benefit of the gentlemen who were absent on the day, quite extensive debate was undertaken around the Guppy Road site refurbishment as well as the Wairoa office refurbishment. And as Fenton mentioned, Wairoa is not put on the back burner indefinitely. It was agreed that there would be a small working party and further discussion, which I understand has taken place. So you'll hear about that in due course. We had a very valuable. Oh no, where am I up to? I was going to jump into oil and gas actually, because we had a very valuable discussion around oil and gas with a couple of experts that had come through from New Zealand Petroleum and Minerals from Wellington, and that was quite educational for all of us, particularly around standing rules. So they became quite helpful to the chair at that point in time in the meeting. Local Government Commission, obviously, that's going back to the staff for a recommendation to be drafted in conjunction with the Maori Committee, and will come back to us for our input. One of the key things that wasn't really mentioned there that I liked that Councillor Dick had discussed was the concept of ring fencing our strategic regional assets for the protection of regional RMA type services and primary sector or sustainability, just things that we're involved in terms of regional councillors, rather than those assets being spilled across the whole of Hawke's Bay, which I thought had some merits. In terms of the appointments to the Hawke's Bay Tourism Board, the group at the time resolved that Dave Pipe was going to be nominated to the Tourism Board. I'll make a comment as a result of this presentation here today. It would have been really helpful for me as an incoming councillor to have had that presentation before we actually had the nomination. That was really good. We just seem to have got it round the wrong way, I wonder. But I'm not reserved. I mean, I'm leaving my support for Dave there. I'm sure he'll do a very good job. And other than that, look, any questions I'm happy to take, but did you want me to move that this was accepted at this point in time?
Well, there may be questions, process questions. If I could help perhaps with some process stuff, how I'd intend to do it is someone hopefully will move the whole lot with an addition around the wider office, because that doesn't truly reflect what we did on that day. I'll make the other point, this is not a set of minutes either. This is the minutes are still dealt with at your next meeting. So this is recommendations that came out of that committee to be double debated and then become council decisions. That's how it works.
Well, if you make the amendment to the point number 3...
No, hang on. I'll just finish. Then when we get into the decisions, one person can move, one person can second the whole lot, but I'll take them separately because I suspect there may be amendments along the way. Is that fair? Yeah, okay. So, any other questions? Councillor Belfin.
Just to clarify the double debate issue, I mean, my understanding from watching the council operate in the past is that that's exactly what this occasion is today with respect to this committee's recommendations, that any of the recommendations that have been put forward here by the committee are in fact perfectly open, susceptible to re-debate, significant modification conceivably. That's what double debate is all about, is it not?
It is,
okay,
but
that's good. You just
clarify
all this. Double
debate versus relitigate, though. So if we're just going to relitigate the issues because some people weren't here, for example, sort of takes the meaning out of the first round, in my mind. So I think that is there have been different decisions made, absolutely, along the way. And if you've got questions or about content or something, let's have them before we get into the recommendations, perhaps. But to relitigate, to run two processes the same, there's more information or that sort of thing, sure, but at this stage, what I can see here, there's not. I might ask the Chief Executive, have you got anything you could add to that?
No, not really, Mr. Chairman. The
previous examples, perhaps? Or?
Yeah, I mean, the way that the governance is structured within the organisation is that the committee takes the giant share of the workload in terms of where the presentations are made, where the critical debate is held, and that's where the recommendations are formed that actually come back to the council. Now, as you'll know, all 9 of you are on the major committees of council where most of these issues are debated. At the point where they come to council to be, if you like, resolved and ratified and become part of the permanent council minute, there are times where someone either wishes to carry on the discussion that they may have not succeeded with prior to at the committee stage, or there may be some new information that could necessitate some amendments, or somebody's genuinely changed their mind, and that's how the process works. But you don't get another full presentation from staff on any of these matters, and staff are not available to answer the questions. The specific staff.
For example, because we haven't seen the minutes, right? Of that discussion, or what was the fact that there was a motion, for example, to come to a different conclusion. That's not noted here, because this is simply noting the final recommendation. The minutes would presumably indicate that we tried to do something else, failed in that effort. That's what the minutes would show. I think there was a formal amendment voted on. So that's why I'm a little confused as to what's fair game.
Well, everything, I suppose, is fair game. But I'll give you one example. Item 2 in the recommendation here agrees to proceed with the refurbishments to office accommodation building HBRC's Guppy Road site as outlined below at an estimated cost of $410,000 plus GST. If someone here said, well, I want to move, they actually only spend $200,000 as an example, becomes a meaningless conversation, because you don't have all the info at your fingertips to make an informed decision on that particular item. You may have the agenda of the previous meeting, and if you were at the previous meeting, you will understand the debate, etc. It's the way we do it now, and we talked about committee structures being looked at going forward, and that's fine. But that's my estimation of double debate. Councillor Barker.
I've got to make a comment. My comment is that this is a subcommittee of the council. Notwithstanding the fact that it's got everybody on it, it's still a subcommittee. And the subcommittee cannot take away from the council, the full council, its powers of decision making. So the full council must and always retain its full powers of decision making. So when an issue comes up, council can amend it, debate it, do whatever it likes. That's its entitlement. The reason you have a subcommittee is in order to expedite business at the council meeting. So that's the purpose of it, but it's not to take away any of the powers of the council.
The other piece it has, though, is it has Maori Committee members with full voting rights.
Sure, but that's my comment. It's just the structure. So if someone wants to make a change to this, debate it, do what they will, then they are perfectly entitled to do that as a council member, because the council has not taken away its powers. To my question, I just got a question here on recommendation number 7. It's in the last 2 lines. Details about budgeting and resourcing, about a public engagement proposal for the oil and gas energy policy development in Hawke's Bay. I'm not sure how this is going to work, but I just want someone to explain to me what is meant by this. Is this policy in Hawke's Bay which is held by a pile of people? Because when I started on this, I thought there was to be a policy on oil and gas development for the Hawke's Bay Regional Council. Now, it's not written that way. So whose policy is it?
So ultimately, it may lead to being a policy of the Hawke's Bay Regional Council through the regional policy statement or other planning documents. But what was actually presented in the corporate and strategic agenda was a wider stakeholder engagement around around potential oil and gas exploration in Hawke's Bay, so that there's a buy-in right across the community, and it may not require any RMA changes, for example, but a much wider understanding of what is potentially involved in oil and gas exploration, an opportunity to hear from the whole spectrum of points of view about the benefits and disbenefits of oil and gas exploration, and then potentially leading to some kind of RMA policy development.
Subsequent question. I have a slight nervousness about stakeholder groups, because these are groups which are identified, and it does mean that in some areas certain elements do control the debate. Is there, under this proposal, going to be the opportunity for the whole of the public, whether a part of a stakeholder group, identified as a group, to participate? Because I think the issue for me is that every member of the public should be entitled to make a contribution, submission, and without having to be in a group identified by the council or someone else.
What we'll do at the Corporate and Strategic Committee meeting of the 12th of March is bring back through a proposal, which we haven't yet written, around all of those types of matters for you to give us direction on.
12th of March.
12th of March.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that Council accepts the recommendations 1 through to 9.
Mr. Chair, can we,
With the revised wording.
with the
on
revised,
file.
can I just suggest the revised wording for that, for number 3, if it's okay?
Yep, that's what I
Just after that, does not proceed with the improvements to the Hawke's Bay Regional Council Wairau office at the time, or at this time, pending further investigations by staff, because that's, I think that was the tenor of the discussion, that we saw opportunities out there in Wairau that maybe could be investigated.
Okay, we have a seconder for that. Councillor Graham. So, as you wish to speak, Councillor Hewitt, you wish to speak further?
No,
On 1 and 2.
No, I've removed the whole lot.
You've moved the whole lot, but I'm going to take them separately, as in put the votes separately. So we're going to start with 1 and 2. Do you wish to speak on 1 and 2?
No.
Seconder, you wish to speak on 1 and 2?
I want to
1,
speak
2
on
and 3, sorry.
3, 2 and 3.
1, 2 and 3, sorry.
On 3, I was very pleased to see that our staff had moved, and it was really gratifying to see also that the dock people, who are our tenants, and the staff agreed that they wouldn't mind a shift as well, and they wouldn't mind being part of all this and thinking about what they could do next. So I think Councillor Pipe's amendment says that. One thing we didn't want to do is send a signal to Wairau people that we weren't going to spend any money on them, and that's what this does. So we just want to make sure our PR's right there.
Thank you. No further speakers. I'll put recommendation 1, 2 and 3. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you. 4 and 5. You wish to speak to 4 and 5, Councillor Hewitt?
Not at this point. I think it's quite self-explanatory, and I look forward to the paper that you come back with.
Okay. Councillor Graham, 4 and 5. You're happy with that? Seconder?
Did I second 4 and 5? I don't think so.
Oh, you've... Okay. Well, the whole lot went...
Oh, I didn't realise that.
Does that change your thinking?
It does change. I'd rather not done that.
Bad luck.
4 and 5.
You can vote against.
We're a team, Rex.
I'm happy with 4 and 5. I'm happy that we present on the amalgamation submissions the fact that the workload that the Regional Council does, and so that everyone's cognizant in the process. It's probably not necessary, but I think it's a good idea.
Other speakers? Councillor Barker.
I just on the local reorganisation. Thank you, Peter. He's very helpful, isn't he? On the reorganisation, I see that there's been, as you would expect, some manoeuvring in certain elements. And I just hope that the Regional Council stays its own course on this and does not get involved. I'm not going to move a motion to this, but does not get involved in directly or indirectly in any of the other initiatives other councils are going to make. I just think we should step back, let the councils make their own decisions, have our own view on this, which I agree with here, put our own submission, and leave it over to them.
That's what it says.
Just reinforcing. Yeah.
Any other speakers? Put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Excuse me. Contrary, no. Carried.